No, but well, first of all, we have to say thank you. I mean, first, my name is Tan, and this is DNewTech. Over there is Roger. Between Roger and I, we kind of manage the group, and we started this back in 2010, right, Roger, or a little bit earlier than that. But the whole point was to get entrepreneurs as well as the startup community to start reaching out to each other. We're pretty much an extension of NewTech. They've been around a few years before us, and so they got probably twice the size of members. Our goal is to kind of reach out to different communities. I mean, I know we're based in Detroit. We have a lot of events in Detroit, but we reach out to OU Inc. We go out all the way out to Ann Arbor to New Foundry is one of the locations that we've done our events, and then as far as Southfield as well. So our goal is to reach out to other communities to share not only the resources but also the startup companies that are pitching. Typically, the way we run the event is that we have the host who hosts the event, like Amy, who's the executive director of OU Inc., and to kind of open the show. A lot of times, people like Amy, we also have investors too. Last time we were in Invest Detroit. And so one of the biggest thing for us is that we know it's always hard, sometimes hard to get entrepreneurs in front of investors or funders. Our goal is to kind of bring them to you, so that way, if you have a great idea, if you want to share it, here's an opportunity for you to be heard by a real investor. At this point, we typically have 3 to 4 startup companies pitching their idea. One did cancel on us, but we do have 3 startups. We have a format of 5 minutes to present, and then 5 minutes for Q&A. We always think that every entrepreneur, especially going into the concept stage, is that we always have the best idea or the most beautiful baby. What I like to say is that when you come to these type of events, the members really do tell you how beautiful your baby really is or isn't. And that's our goal, is to kind of share that information, hopefully give you questions that you didn't think before. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Amy and let her kind of share with you, what they do here.
Thank you, Todd. Welcome. And how many this is your first time here at the incubator? Yay! Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're very glad to have you here, and we love partnering with DNewTech because we bring entrepreneurs from all over Southeast Michigan. I mean, we bring people down from Flint, from Ann Arbor, from Detroit, from Oakland County, and it's just great to be able to give you guys an opportunity to see each other and to collaborate and talk with each other and realize that you're not alone in the world. We are a full-service incubator here. We work mostly with tech companies, particularly in energy, IT, cybersecurity for med health, as well as medical device. We also have a few sports applications. Usually those slide in under the IT component. I'm not sure why we started affecting sports, but we have a number of them. And then our med health actually relate back to sports. So some of our medical devices actually relate to the sports industry as well. So it makes it a lot of fun. We have both tenants and non-tenants, so we can work with accelerator clients. I've got a client over in Ann Arbor. I've got a couple in Plymouth. I've got a couple in Farmington and Novi. We've got a couple in Detroit. Matter of fact, if you haven't done Saturday night social sushi, I encourage you to give it a try because they're awesome. And we've got Green Lancer down in Detroit as well. And then we have about 18 companies that are here in the incubator. We work with about 55 on an average. That's a lot, but what we're really finding is that's a great opportunity for us to make cross introductions for each other. So even if you may not be one of our clients, if you have a need and we might be able to link you to one of our companies, feel free to contact us because we're still going to do that. It's all about supporting the entire ecosystem of Southeast Michigan and helping you reach your dream and fuel your passion. With that, I'm going to let you guys start the program. And if you do want a tour or something, let us know. And we'll be glad to show you out back where some of the technology things happen. We have drones, we have scooters, we have collaborative robots, we have hybrid cars, and they're all right through those doors. So 3D printing, a bunch of 3D printers, companies, and we even have a 60-ton sheet metal press.
Is that what's Is that what?
Yeah, you'll hear. Yeah, matter of fact, it is running tonight, and you just have to ignore it.
Impressive.
It's not too. What it is, it's one of our centers of development. We have a little bit of a hybrid model here. We work directly one-on-one with companies, but then we have 4 centers of development that are focused around a particular area of expertise that we've developed with a strategic partner. Those centers of development allow us to expand access to startup businesses, but also growth companies or even major OEMs that need access to subject matter experts or technology or joint research in those particular areas. So we have an energy center of development, a Automation Alley Innovation Center that focuses on product design and Internet of Connected manufacturing. And then we have the sheet metal forming, which focuses on research of lightweighting of vehicles. And then we have this room, which is a integrated resource center. And then we're building our 5th center of development, which is a cyber hub that's focused in the medical health industry. So it ties in with our med health and our med device related program.
And I also want to point out that you were inducted into the Hall of Fame for the energy back in November, and the first woman to do so.
Yes, my background is I've spent 32 years with state government working in environmental policy, energy policy, and sustainability. And when Oakland really recruited me for this position, it was so we could overlay the energy component, energy innovation, in addition to our energy curriculum, and then put some of that together with building the energy industry in Michigan. And just recently I was recognized by being inducted into the Energy Hall of Fame. So I was pretty excited. Thank you.
No problem. No, that's a huge recognition. Can you just share? I know that one of the questions I had, or at least when talking to a lot of our members, was your portfolio. I know you range in energy manufacturing. In regards to startups, because we're a lot of us, 5-9% of us here are pretty small startup businesses. What type of resources do you provide for that?
We're a smart zone, so we're going to be able to help you with any of the state funding resources. What we really look at is I'm looking to see if I have a presentation here that I could show you that has a couple of slides that would be really helpful.
I think Green Lantern is a good example. I mean, I know they started out in Detroit, but they started.
Okay. I'm sure everybody in this room has asked yourself these questions. Where do I go from here? What do I need? Where do I find it? And my personal experience is I made the decision to leave to retire from state government, and I had to decide where I was going to go and what I was going to do. And I decided to start my own business. And I made that decision in like 7 days. That's not an easy decision to make. And I walked out and I'm going, oh, okay, I got my own business, now what? Where do I go? How do I make a business? How do I sign it up? How do I figure out what my mission is? How do I fund it? How do I hire people? How do I set up a bank account? How do I figure out if this is going to work or not? All those questions that every one of you have had, I was trying to figure out myself. I didn't know what a smart zone was. I didn't know what an incubator was. I'd worked with businesses my entire career in economic development, but I'd never ran across incubators, accelerators, or co-working spaces, or any of those tools that are out there. And Michigan is really unique and has developed an entire infrastructure of support for our entrepreneurs, unlike any other state, next to maybe Florida. Florida has a network of incubation centers as well. But the way that the incubators talk to each other, the way that the state supports those incubators with funding tools like our Business Accelerator Fund, matching funds if you're going to do a Small Business Innovation Research Grant, matching funds if you need to do research, access research at one of our universities, pre-seed funding if you're going with that angel investment so you can make that money go further, and all those things to help you along the way so that when you have to ask for the big money, that you put it off long enough, that you've de-risked it, your value enough, that it's not going to cost you everything to get there. So what we do is we look at 3 different buckets with you. We really look at, and this is one of the things that kind of distinguishes this incubator, because of my background and our access to some of our faculty, we're really able to dive into the technology strategy. Where are you at with the development of your technology? Do you need testing? Do you need laboratory work? Do you need verification and validation? Do you need introduction to customers? We also look at your finance strategy. Every entrepreneur needs money. But do they have the right money? Are they prepared to go after that money at the right time? So we really look at that whole strategy and work with you in setting up that strategy. And the third is your business strategy. Do you need IP? Do you need copyright? Do you need trade secrets? What is the best way to protect your innovation? Have you got those in place? Do you have the right operational agreements? So if you're working with a partner and you guys get mad at each other, that it's not going to fold the company. My first 3 company failures in this incubator were partner disagreements. Do not ever do anything 50-50. Or if you do, have a decision-making document legally drafted that allows you to make a decision. Because things happen, we're all people, circumstances change, and that's just the way it is. So making sure that you have the right organizational structure to start with. That doesn't mean that you can't change your structure later, because we've had a number of companies that have started as LLCs, and then as they've grown and got into the market, we've converted them over to C Corps. You don't necessarily have to go down the C Corp early on. You can start small and then grow. That's another thing we do, is we help people grow. So when you get into the market, now that's one of the things we're probably over, matter of fact, as of today, I think we're almost to 60% of our current client portfolio is in the market. Might be in the market by $20,000, or might be in the market by 1.7 million. We have that range. But we're well over 50% now are in the market, and that goes through a cycle about every 2 years. We'll bring a new bunch of people in, and we'll have to get them going, and then we'll make it in. Once they get there, then we have some certain things we have to look at. You get past that first 100,000, and there's some growth pains you go through. There's some new tools and technologies, the new resources you need access to. Then you get up to that million, and when you get into that $1 million revenue, you have to figure out how to actually scale your business. You really have to start focusing on that business and how is it going to be a business. And that's where we switch and we start working with you with those tools and bringing in those kinds of advisors to help you in that piece. So what the purpose of, or the scope of an incubator really does, is we're your navigation tool. We are your pilot to help you maneuver your way through all the tools and resources that this great state has for you to access, both locally, regionally, and nationally, and make those connections for you and help you get through that process as seamless as possible. It doesn't always work smoothly. We try, and it's never in a straight line. It's usually like this. You think it's going this way, but it's usually like this. And even us as a small incubator and a small staff, we've had to pivot a number of times as well. And we pivot based on what the demand is, pivot based on what our resources are, what our services are. What do we excel in? How can we best provide value to you as a service? Just for fun, and it'll only take a second or two. This is our second graduate, Green Lancer. And one of the things that we do is we also connect. We connect our clients to the university. So we have 3 different companies right now that are the case studies for classes. So we have 2 MBA capstone projects where the clients are actually the case study for the class for the whole semester. We also have 2 companies that are in senior design in engineering, where their project they're assigned a team of engineers and they work on that project for the whole semester. We just met with School of Business yesterday to talk about what other classes that we can integrate and bring our companies to our students. Because we know that we need to develop the talent you need tomorrow. But we have to develop it today. So what better way for us to develop that talent than to let you meet those people now and help you formulate and help you influence how their education goes. We know that that sets our graduates apart, and we know that that's the best way for us to provide the talent you need to grow your business. One of our great companies, we're also an international incubator. We have 13 international companies that have landed here. This is one of our Italian companies. They do drone technology. You see lots of drones, but this drone is a little different. It's kind of like the iRobot Roomba vacuum where it rolls up and it hits the wall and it bounces back. So does this drone. It can bounce off the ceiling. You can bounce it like a basketball. It's a carbon fiber skeleton that goes around it that protects it so that the propellers don't break, and it also protects from injury. It's designed as an indoor drone, and it's able to be used to fly over through industry, look at lines, look at health and safety, look at things that you need to within a plant. But it's also just a lot of fun. They sell it as kits for educational groups, so they actually are teaching drone technology at 3 of our local high schools with these kits. There's the scooter. That's a hybrid scooter that will be going into production this fall. We have autonomous vehicle tracking. Now, no, we didn't actually promote a boat. The technology is what's underneath the boat and makes the boat move autonomously throughout the whole play. So when you're watching a stage play, the scenery all moves. What you don't know is that the technology of one of our companies is underneath that and actually making all that movement happen, and it's all been computerized into the stage management software. So from the time that the play starts till it's over, all of the scenery is going to move by itself. They also do lawnmowers. This is one of our medical devices, testing balance. This is one of our sports ones. Makes the Columbine look ancient and archaic. So the founder of the company is actually a PhD in skills assessments. And they've developed an entirely new set of algorithms that go along with things like the physical testing, and to be able to look at a person's performance and where to best place them on a team so that they can maximize their performance. The correlation has been amazing. Sodium battery research, and last, Green Lancer. And these are just a few of our companies. Green Lancer is a new disruptive kind of way to provide solar energy and renewable energy. By using freelance engineers, they're able to more quickly and with less cost help design and install a solar array. And I think they're in like 17 states now. But they just recently, last summer, they got a $5 million investment and pretty much are out and about. We're able to hire their full-time CEO, and now we're actually introducing them internationally. We just made some introductions to some international companies, delegations just the other day. So, questions? Are we having fun yet? Do I have the best job in the world?
Yeah.
Because every day I come to work and I get to see great things like that. And so, have we been successful? Yeah. Matter of fact, I have to update this chart now about almost every other week. And what it says is that we've had 111 new companies formed over the last 5 years. We've had 122 companies that have expanded. We've had that's up over 9 million now. It's been revenue generated from our companies, and we really underreport that because companies are real nervous about telling us how much they made. 24 million in follow-on funding. And we currently lead the state in the number of business accelerator fund applications that are approved. Okay?
You are in smart zone.
We are a smart zone. And with that, I'll turn it over to you guys, and then we can hear about all your new exciting technologies and ideas.
Let's give a hand to Amy. Okay, so we're going to start off again. The format is usually 5 minutes to present, and then 5 minutes for Q&A. But we're going to let you guys go a little bit over too if you need to, because again we only have 3 presenters. So I'm going to start off with Raymond Lemon with Tassly, and this is a classroom management software made smart. And I'll let Raymond show you what he has.
Very good. You're hired.
Is this mic on or just speak up?
Just talk about it.
Yeah.
All right.
You should not need it.
Okay.
If you do, then we'll turn it on. But
It's on. It's just
I don't think you'll need it.
Okay. So, hello everyone. My name is Raymond Lemon. I am a co-founder of Tassly. We create software that helps parents stay involved in their students' education. So, before I talk about Tassly, I just want to share a little bit about my own background and what led me to co-found the company. This is me and my family 2 years ago when I graduated from Wayne State University in Detroit, Michigan. And this kid you see over here on the far left with the red stripe on his jacket is my younger brother who's currently a sophomore in high school. And I bring him up because, in my case, I am the oldest of 4 kids, and I'm actually the first person in my family to graduate from college. So I really try to stay as involved as I can in my younger siblings' education and what's going on with them in the classroom. However, the problem that I always run into is that when reaching out to my parents to see how they're doing, they don't typically have any information until this time here. Parent-teacher conference night, which is typically only once or twice a semester. And so, you know, when you're talking to your student, they're telling you, I don't have any homework, or, you know, oh, everything's fine, and then you get there and the teacher's saying the exact opposite, you usually find yourself in this situation. Which can lead to this for the student. And this. However, the underlying problem here is that parents don't have a really easy way to stay involved in their students' academic progress, and oftentimes they don't end up finding out critical information to solve or even prevent problems until it's too late. So let's just quickly start with what we know, and that is that parental involvement drives student achievement. So according to researchers Nancy Berlin and Henderson, who have studied the effects of parental involvement in the student's education over the last 25 years, a home environment that encourages learning is actually more important to student achievement than factors such as income, educational level of attainment of the parent, or their cultural background. However, I'm not sure if there are any parents in the room, but you can probably attest that staying involved is difficult. And in our case, in talking to parents and teachers, what we found is that some of the key factors that make it so difficult are that the communication methods that schools prefer to use to keep parents in the loop are kind of out of touch with the way in which we share information and communicate on a daily basis in our day-to-day lives. As a result, in some cases where schools do have these systems in place, there are multiple systems for different information, such as your lunch balance versus your attendance and your grades, and it ultimately makes it time consuming. And in some cases, it can also just be an issue of limited resources. So what we've done with Tassly is we've created a web and mobile app where parents and students can get real-time notifications sent directly to their phone on things such as attendance, late or upcoming assignments, exams, as well as classroom announcements. And they can access it directly on their mobile device or via the web. In addition, what we have done is we've integrated this concept of a recommendation engine for learning content. So based on the information that we have about your student, such as their grade or the class that they're taking and the type of assignments they're working on, we would go and find content from providers such as Khan Academy or Coursera that they could use as study aids. In addition, in the future, we hope to integrate information on scholarships, university recruiting deadlines, as well as potential internships opportunities that the student might be interested in. So just to give a quick example, say we have a student here who's a junior in high school and we know their location. We can probably guess at this point in their high school career that they're probably going to have to take some sort of standardized test in their junior year. So what we could do is we could go and find test prep materials or service providers that could help them to prepare for the SAT or the ACT, whether it be online, free, or paid, or depending on their preference, we could find local test prep services that we would offer to them. So our business model is that we provide our tool for free to students, parents, teachers, and schools. It's a twofold business model in which this tool is free, and we would look to partner with providers of tutoring services, test prep services, as well as universities to help them target their, their marketing materials or get their service out in front of people who would be most interested in it. And looking at the market, there are about 50 million K-12 students in the United States, a little bit over 3.1 million full-time teachers. Narrowing it down to Michigan, there are a little over 1.5 million students and 95,000 teachers. And in our initial market that we are focusing on, there's about 47,000 students and 3,000 teachers within the Detroit public schools. And this excludes the parent market in this case. So in this space, there are a number of tools that have some functionality that kind of overlaps traditional school information systems such as PowerSchool or learning management systems such as Blackboard. However, they typically offer these tools as separate software that the schools have to purchase yearly licenses for on a per student basis. And where we're really focusing on is in the top upper left in terms of classroom management software. And what really makes us unique is that there are a lot of tools to tell you as a parent where your student may be struggling, but where do you go from there? How do you apply that information? How do you prevent problems and catch things that you might not be aware of? And that's what we hope to do with Tassly. So our team consists of myself along with two other developers. We're all based out of the Metro Detroit area. My co-founders, Christian Cologne and Robert Grubbs. And currently we are conducting user interviews with teachers and parents, as well as working on our MVP, which we're hoping to launch by June 1st. Thank you. Yes.
So the big question is your profit model or your operating model. Now, everything you described, just to let you know, my kids go to Troy School District.
Right.
And they have Schoology.
Yeah, there are a number of those.
I don't know where they rank from, but they provide a lot of the stuff that you were talking about, and I'm pretty sure that their model is per student, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
And my question is, well, why isn't that the model that you're going after? Because in some sense, the teachers are mandated to put the information in. So it appears you have to have a buy-in, or the buy-in from the school district is an essential element in adopting this type of software, because otherwise it's going to be very spotty, the information that's going in and out of the system.
Well, yeah, no, most of the tools that I've seen, they do sell to the district on a per student, per year basis. However, what we're hoping to do is that through offering the tool for free, we can actually just offer it directly to teachers, and then eventually through enough teachers taking on the tool, we could then work into districts. But in that approach, we have to target the district before we can ever get anyone to use the tool. So it would allow us to build our user base a lot quicker. There is also the option of selling to districts, but I think the initial thing that we're focusing on is getting it in the hands of teachers and parents and showing the value, and then making the transition to trying to offer it to districts. Yes.
Do you plug into any of the other apps, like some of the ones you showed, the Deaf and Moto or Solution?
Yeah, so the goal in most cases with things like Power School or Blackboard would be to integrate with them. There's not really a need to directly compete with them. So that's one of our primary focuses. Yes.
How do the teachers put the grades? Do they have to do that manually, or does it integrate with Blackboard?
Yeah, so that's the case. And we would look to integrate with Blackboard or Power School or those sorts of tools when those are already in place. However, we would be building a gradebook module on top of this, as well as like messaging features and things like that. So if you have Blackboard, that's great. We can just pull the data from it. They have APIs in place now that they can send that data over. But it's also be a standalone gradebook tool if that was the case.
The other software I was thinking was Remind.
Yeah, that's like a classroom messaging. Yeah. Yep.
So I don't know how functional it is, but what is the ask that what would be your ask for this group? If you were to, I know you launched June 1st, I know I'll get your
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely interested in getting more context if anyone works within the education space or knows any teachers. And maybe if there are any marketing minds in the room, I think that would be helpful in terms of helping us to craft our materials a little bit more and structure our our like landing page and things like that. So, yes.
You said you're developers. Is it a web application or are you focusing on mobile?
It would be a web and mobile application. So right now we're building it out using AngularJS and an Ionic framework. So it would be a hybrid app.
What stage are you at? What stage are you at in the
We're still in early development. We're working on the MVP right now. Yes.
I think that one of the challenges that you might see in doing your per teacher model is that if a parent has a student and only one teacher is
Using
using
it.
they're not going to be as interested in going in. So that's just one thing to think about. You might even try it on the first school. That would seem to cover your bases there. But I think integration into LMSs and other systems that can kind of shortcut the work for teachers, because as it is, I think one of the things you probably already started hearing is that they just don't have time or the energy.
It's really about optimizing that workflow for teachers when they're entering grades. So integration is one of our bigger focuses. However, it's the matter of selling to districts, just the connections in place you'd have to get that sort of meeting. So we look to start with teachers, show its value, and then build our way up to getting out from the entire school to get them on board. All right, thank you.
Hey Ray. Yes. We're gonna have. I'm sorry, Jay. I'm gonna have you come up next. And got your program here. Where was the Rayle? Where was the HDMI? The HDMI.
It's underneath the shelf.
Oh, okay. He didn't use it. Got it.
No, because the Mac one is not.
Oh, the Mac one. Oh, then he's gonna have a hard time connecting with mine too. We're gonna see. We're gonna try it. That's okay. Always.
So,
I think I have a start point there, right? And then I'll just go ahead.
There's, if it's online and there's a load up in here, that's
That's a web drive, so I need to. You saying that it is on this one?
yeah, you just use this.
Okay, go ahead, use that one. Okay, so the next presenter is Jay Rayford. He's with Sushi Detroit. As a matter of fact, they presented a couple years ago and I know they're growing. So we're going to have Jay present as soon as he can connect.
Do you want to
One is fine.
slide it over. There we go. Awesome. Hello, everybody. Everybody doing all right? My name is Rayford. I'm the founder of Social Sushi Detroit. It's interesting because while we are a food startup, the story actually starts with a technology startup that I was working on. And I wanted to create a way to really start to listen to my target audience. And I did that through this thing called Social Sushi. Decided that I wanted to bring people together and use sushi as a way to do that, and like get my product in with them while we're having a conversation over sushi, right? And after that first event, everybody had a great time. We brought all different kinds of people from different type of professional backgrounds, creative backgrounds, all over the city of Detroit, downtown, neighborhoods, everything. And what we found was there was a lot of people that love sushi for one. But also love the opportunity of getting together around sushi and meeting each other. So I kind of coined it social collisions that happen over sushi. After that happened, we started to do an event every single month after that to continue the space, but slowly but surely that tech started starting to fade a little bit, and we actually started to realize that we might have something with the sushi thing. And after a while, we just kept hearing from people that there's no sushi in Detroit. Of course, we've done our research. We know there are sushi restaurants in Detroit, but when you have a lot of the population said that there's no sushi in Detroit, maybe there's something there. And most of the places that there is sushi is like Fishbones. Fishbones is a like New Orleans cuisine type of place that happens to have sushi. Shangri-La is a place that is Chinese food that happens to have sushi. So most of the places around the city of Detroit has sushi as a secondary type of thing. So we saw a niche there that we could tap into where that's kind of our priority, in addition to bringing people together in an organic type of way. And so here we talk about social sushi as a socially conscious, casual dining sushi experience. So we're actually really focused on using sustainable seafood, and as well as really creating a green space as well. So operating as efficiently as possible in our space. And our competitive advantage really is our ability to bring people together, the taste of the food, and also this thing that people go absolutely nuts over, which is our special sauce. It's like a twisted spicy mayo that people absolutely fall in love with. In fact, I would say 90% of the events that we've ever done, we always have what I call a sushi version at the event. And they're just like, no, it's nowhere in the world I'm trying any of this sushi, not doing it. Never have. I'm 35 years old and I've never ate sushi. I'm not going to do it today. Eventually we get them, I con them into actually trying a piece with some sauce and stuff like that on it, and we have them for life. So now we have a ton of people that just like, yo, let me know whenever there's an event, let me know, I'm there. We have people that actually created budgets to say, hey, like when you have an event, we're gonna be there. I wanna make sure I support that. But also they walk away with relationships. They walk away with, some have had personal relationships, have dated after. Some have went on to co-found companies together, or just are supportive of each other and have since continued to grow their friendships beyond social sushi. So it started off with just me and my partner Grace. We had the idea, like I said, to use sushi as a way to bring people together.
And over time, we have some folks that we started to develop a team, actual team with. Now, mind you, I did not plan on opening a sushi restaurant in the beginning of this thing. Remember, I was supposed to do this tech startup thing. And so over time, after we kept hearing from people that this is a great product, this is something that they want to support, that they want to have every day, like after they eat it, like, where are you at tomorrow? I need to have this. And so we started to put together a team, and now we have Social Sushi, the sushi lounge, that's going to come on board pretty soon. So as most know, as what I call it sushi sexy. Like if you go to an event and there's sushi, you're just like, wait, I didn't dress up properly for this. I'm not ready. And so like it is a $2 billion industry in the United States. Like literally in the city of Detroit, all 139 square miles, like we'll be the only like really sushi centric place, especially with the focus on sustainable seafood. And we also had the opportunity to put our sushi restaurant inside of shipping containers that are designed and built by college and high school students. And if that's not social, I don't really know what it is. But now we've that project, we were actually supposed to put the shipping containers in the park, right in front of Roosevelt Park. The Roosevelt Park is what it's called, but it's in front of the old train station that most people know. Even in our community research, as we interact with folks, they're just like, okay, that's cool, but what are you going to do about that huge building behind it? And it's just like, hey, Maddie has the money, I don't. But we started to really understand that this is something that is missing and really people want. So yeah, like I said, we started in 2012. Doing the event every single day that first year. The second year, we switched it and what I call a social catering experience. If you think about it, no catering company really promotes where they are. And so over that following that we were able to develop in that first year, we transitioned that and then allowed other people to hire us to bring sushi to their event, and we promoted it to our following. So not only did we bring great food to the event, we also brought people with us, which is like a win-win-win situation. And so we've done events from like the Madison Rooftop to a place called Drive Table Tennis Social Club. A lot of local businesses that may have not had a lot of exposure or are very new, we were able to bring our folks and attention to that space. Even through media as well, because we were getting write-ups about our pop-ups and things like that. And right now we're in the process we're in the Motor City Match program. It's an opportunity that pairs business owners with building owners to create a vision together and have some access to what the city's put together, $500,000 per quarter to put into the local economy, which is something pretty amazing. So let's cruise through here. Just real quick, kind of our thought process behind it is to have our full service location, which is more so like a lounge type of space. We'll continue to do our catering. As well, and we are looking to do a delivery aspect as well, depending on our location, really. If we're able to do the shipping container thing still, that would be like our delivery takeout type aspect in the greater downtown area. And right now, while the project is not happening in front of the old train station, is now looking at the West Riverfront now. So that's still in the process, and then there's also, if you haven't heard about it, it's called the Shipyard. It's another shipping container project that's going into Midtown. So we're actually in conversations with them as well to create that to go lounge space. But with the Motor City Match, we're actually looking at Leavenworth and 6 Mile, which is right across from University of Detroit area, which is also a focus area for a program called Live 6. And they're bringing like $700,000 in resources from the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation, the University of Detroit staff and leadership, and community organizations to really figure out how do we redevelop and repurpose a lot of abandoned storefronts and things like that in that area. And of course, why sustainable seafood? We're eating the ocean away. Right now, the way that seafood is being caught, they just throw really huge nets out there, pull everything in, and whatever they need, they take, and what doesn't just dies. And so like they're predicting that by 2050 that we won't have seafood anymore. So we want to do our parts to make sure that we will have seafood ongoing here. And if you look at it, it says, if you look at the comparison, it's 5 restaurants serving sushi in the city of Detroit. In Los Angeles, it's 234. It's absolutely crazy. And then 40% increase in sushi consumption just from 2000 to 2005. So we are heading downward in that trend, and it's really important for us to start really thinking about how or where our food comes from. So we want to make sure that we are on the forefront of that. And this is just a Google Trends research that shows that there's tons of people who are really Googling and really researching sushi in Detroit, and they aren't finding what it is. The itch, they're not finding that being really satisfied in the city. This is just showing like some of the options in the area. And of course, as always, people always have any other choices to eat. And what we're trying to do is kind of create the atmosphere for whether that's from live entertainment to networking opportunities or even community conversations that will happen within our space to continue to attract people to our space. Because as you know, as consumers and ourselves, we know that when we have emotional connection to a place, it encourages us to shop there more, but then also recommend our friends and things like that. And that's probably our biggest way that we've gained our word of mouth is through other people saying, hey, you have to go check out Sushi. I think we kind of hit that a little bit already. So right now we're looking to raise this $130,000. The space that we're looking at in Motor City Match is actually owned by architects. So pretty much our architecture is pretty much taken care of. We're looking at really just to create a sushi bar aspect in that space. Most of the, if you know about overhead in restaurants, most of their overhead is really eaten up by literally revamping the space, getting it white box, make sure electrical, all those things. That the building owners are really taking care of all of that, so our overhead is really, really low. So we have the opportunity to fast track to success a lot sooner because we've built the brand over the past 3 years, and also because we're going in with a ton of community support already. And we have a team of folks that range from, we have a chef that has a few years experience, went to school for culinary arts and also has a passion for sushi. And we want to make sure that the team that we build, even the employees that we hire, that they have a particular passion, even if it's not particularly food. So don't be surprised if you come into Social Sushi and the waitress just belts out in song because that's her passion. So we really want to really lend to that as well, because turnover in the food industry is really high because people just see that as a see-through job versus a place that believes in their true passion and potential and creates a space for them to showcase that. That's pretty much it. And then there's just financial stuff. But this is a comparative study that you can see real quick from probably the first and most successful sustainable sushi restaurant that's in Portland, and we've actually been in touch with them to kind of get some of the feedback and understand some of their suppliers and things like that, and even price margins, and make sure this can be something that can be successful in Detroit as well. And that's it. I'm not doing on time. I feel like I went over. Any questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, so far, it sounds like you guys have done a lot of catering events. Have you also maybe considered partnering with professional groups in Detroit? I recently came across a place called Clubhouse in digital Have you considered kind of turning into that sort of experience where you invite people and they come out, that sort of thing, there's a networking aspect as well?
Yeah. So the goal, so we've been connected. We're connected to Clubhouse and DYP, tons of other networking groups. Because before it started, the real reason why I bringing sushi involved was because I was going to all these networking events and really building relationships in all these different circles, from fashion, music, technology, startups, nonprofits, all that kind of stuff, and really figuring out how do I bring these people together, because everyone's operating in all these silos, and it's just why aren't the tech people getting with the education folks? Or why aren't if you think about it, hip hop dancers do not perform with hip hop artists. It's the craziest thing ever. But it's a thing. But we were just really want to figure out how to break down those silos. So definitely when it comes to catering events, part of our kind of motto is definitely to develop relationships with those groups and create experiences with it.
Have you guys thought about food carts?
Yeah. Food carts. So yeah, we thought about food. We're actually like right now which I forgot to mention, we're doing every Saturday in our Detroit, and we actually have a portable sushi cart. And so right now we're using that in a vodka distillery. And so we're doing every Saturdays there until we get ready for our permanent location. But the cart would definitely be able to be utilized off-site, outdoors, all that kind of stuff.
What do you, I'm just curious, do you have permit of anywhere in Detroit that you will be able to be at a regular basis?
So we're actually like there's this permitting called the STFU, it's Stationary Special Transitory Food Unit, and so like there's some things that we're trying to still get into place to make sure that we can get that particular license. But right now we're just doing temporary food license over at Detroit right now. Question right here.
Have you guys ever gone to the Eastern Market? Has that worked out for you guys?
So we haven't been at the Eastern Market. We actually have had a couple offers, but at the time we had other events going on at the time. And then I think there are some new projects that they're working on to kind of create a food court type of space there. But we don't think that kind of fits our model with kind of being like the social aspect and in the ways that we are able to bring that together versus being like part of a food court. So we kind of want to be able to curate that a little bit more. But the Shipyard is a food court type of setup, but they have interest in allowing some of the food entrepreneurs that are going to be in this space actually help with programming and marketing and things like that. So that's why that's kind of appealing to us a little bit right now. Sweet. Oh, yeah.
I was just going to ask if you guys have done anything like, I know downtown Detroit there's a lot of food trucks in that area, and have you guys tried anything to kind of test out the demand in that area and then maybe use that as well to promote the events that you guys do?
For sure. So we've been in touch with Quicken family companies and the folks that are really around placemaking and things like that down there. And at the time, they want us to be able to. They want to know that we're capable of handling 30,000 people that could come at the cart at one time. So we passed up that opportunity, but with the events that we've been able to do in so many different spaces down there, we know that the energy is there. But then we also have relationships with Quicken where once we open, we'll be tapping into their distribution, their mailing list of all the companies, of all the employees and everything like that. So we've developed a lot of relationships over this time. And most of it because we've been able to create value for other people versus saying like, hey, I know this person, but more than anything, it's just been the word of mouth and us being able to create value for other people. Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
All right. So thanks, Jay. And I love sushi, man. So you're in the right business. So we have Kunal with NeoTrade came up with a software that actually helped you do trading. So I'm going to turn this over to him. You want me to set this up for you? I believe this is your. I can remember which one. So, I don't know. Do you know which one to press?
Well, the greens do go together, yes, indeed. Hey guys, my name is sorry. My name is Kunal Bhatia. I'm a founder of NeoTrade. I want to thank you all for giving me this opportunity to present at OU Inc. as well as DNewTech. A little bit about myself. I'm a coder turned entrepreneur. Since 2014, I co-founded an IT consulting firm called Mass Inc. And since then, I've been consulting, working full time as a consultant for Mercedes-Benz Financial Services. Okay.
I'm just going to do this also because he wants this.
I'm also a part-time MBA student. Amy knows that, and I'm president of a student org called Entrepreneurs in Action. And finally, this is the best part, I'm a full-time dad. So what is NeoTrade? Basically, NeoTrade is a trading platform that makes trading more affordable for low to mid-income working individuals and families by creating a market for fractional shares trading. Thus, investors can partially own stock, especially if it's expensive. NeoTrade will also have an intelligent, data-driven financial analysis system which advises investors what to buy next based on market trends, individual profile needs, and the investor's current portfolio status. I envision NeoTrade will one day be a large-scale independent trading market using which brokers and investors can interact and trade fractional shares of stocks. So why is NeoTrade important? What problem does it solve? If you ask any seasoned investor, he or she will tell you to never put all your purchases on a few stocks. Always, always diversify your portfolio. Why is that important? Specifically, diversification helps us reduce our exposure to what is referred to as unsystemic risk or equity risk, which is basically a risk associated with a particular company, buying a particular company stock or an industry stock. Yet two factors make it very difficult to diversify. First, recent polls suggest most of us Americans hardly have $1,000 in savings. Second, 50% of Dow 30 stocks cost close to $100, some much higher. For instance, Google stock, one stock costs $700, Amazon costs $500 and it's been rising. And Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway costs $200,000 one stock. All this really makes it tough to buy diverse types of stocks needed to protect investors from risk. It is these expensive stocks and a perception of risk that compel many low to mid-income working individuals and families to simply wait for years before they can start investing. That's where NeoTrade matters to help make trading affordable and accessible for all of us. Basically, NeoTrade is an early stage startup that I've been working since late last year. It's not ready yet for market. For now, I'm considering more customer discovery to gain feedback about this idea. I basically intend to get answers to very specific questions, such as how many customers are interested in this and how much they're willing to pay for utilizing this service. The last two questions are pivotal prerequisite to building a minimum viable product. After I'm done completing a minimal viable product or an MVP as a concept or prototype, I plan to present this idea to potential investors for funding. So I have a very short presentation, so I want to know what you guys think about this startup idea. Do you think this idea has potential? Do you see any challenges with this idea? Please do share your thoughts. Yes?
How far along are you in development?
I just built like basically an approach to build how you can encounter and break apart fractional stocks. So it's relatively almost non-existent, not relevant yet for me to show it. But I'm a software developer. Once I see demand on something, I will build it, and I will hire the right team to build further on as well.
Are there any like regulatory hurdles?
Very good question. Yes. SEC forbids its fractional trading. And for me, that's like, uh-oh. But there are alternative ways around it. One example I can say is a Schedule K, which is basically, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar, is a partnership agreement. So you can have individuals own stock or even entities, which are partnerships. So that's one direction with which I can come across with a perception of fractional share purchase for owners. Yes?
How is this different than a mutual fund?
Oh, this is very different than a mutual fund. In a mutual fund, a mutual fund has a mutual fund manager, which is really a cost to the mutual fund. First. Second, a mutual fund is an amalgamation of different types of stocks, perhaps in the same industry, perhaps grouped together. First problem with that is basically a mutual fund works on a NAV, which is a net asset value. The value of the mutual fund will be far removed from the actual price of that stock. So this is exactly what NeoTrade does not want to accomplish. NeoTrade wants to keep the price differential very close to the actual price of the stock. So if Google costs $700 and you only have $100, you can buy 1/7 of Google and still maintain that price, which is close to the stock market price of Google.
Do some of the larger stock trading companies allow individuals to buy and sell partial stocks already?
The only one in the early 2000s was a share builder, but it was trying to follow SEC regulation, which is basically if you want to buy an expensive stock as an investor, you can arrange with your broker or with directly the stock to buy partial increments and eventually buy a whole stock. SEC wants you to buy the whole stock eventually. Now, this is not what NeoTrade wants to do. Imagine you only have $500 in a year to save and put in investing. I wouldn't want you to put everything onto Google. Even if there is a ladder approach for you to reach there, I would say no. I would rather say to you, fine, you like Google, you want to buy Google, put $100 into Google. Put another $100 into Procter & Gamble. Put $100 into healthcare industry and a stock in that. All of a sudden, you have built a manageable, diversifiable portfolio with which you can basically protect yourself from entity risks, such as Google stock going down and such.
What kind of returns do you think would be possible on an investment that small? Considering that it's not a full stock.
Very good question. So, the return on investment as a percentage will not change whether you buy a portion of it or the whole. Obviously, the dollar value, like for instance, if a stock gives you dividends, it's going to be split up based on what is your percentage ownership of that stock. But return on investment should not change, and that's what we want to envision, because we see investors out there who don't have enough cash, who can't afford some of these stocks. I wanted to kind of go back to one of the stocks that I'm sure you guys caught your eye on, Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway. This is $230,000. I just checked it, and someone can maybe Google check, maybe it's 230 or 217,000. Last few days I checked. But you can also Google check this. Berkshire Hathaway is an amalgamation of different entities that Warren Buffett envisioned for Berkshire Hathaway. There's car companies, there's infrastructure, common food, consumables. When I look at this, and when I go back 4 years to what Berkshire Hathaway was, it was $100,000, just 4 years ago. It was around $130,000, one stock. And I told myself, okay, I'm just going to do a math here for a second. From 100,000 4 years ago to 200 and something thousand now, that is kind of like 25% return every year for that investment. Name one stock that has consistently given you 25% every year. The point I'm trying to make bring across is really simple. There are some really good companies out there, blue chip companies. However, they're very expensive. If you don't have enough money as an investor, you're going to be forced to take mutual funds, which don't give much revenue, or worse, you're going to buy penny stocks, which are very rare to ever grow and give you back a return. You're better off if a system exists where I can create for you NeoTrade, where you can just give me an amount that you would like to invest and certain parameters, like you want to invest in Google, you want to invest in Microsoft, and I can split that money into fractional stocks, these type of stocks that you're interested in, then you might still end up getting the return that is significant for you as an investor with less money.
I think that is probably the most compelling thing that you've said, like, completely, because that means that as someone who doesn't have $200,000 to, or $1 million, so you can buy like 5 shares of, you know, Warren Buffett's company, that means I have better access to better performing stock, and I think that would be probably the #1 motivator for me to try NeoTrade.
Okay, that's really good. So go ahead.
Yes, so say you have 6 people invested in a Google stock, and you want to sell that stock. One person wants to sell it. Who decides when to sell that stock?
Very good question. So, you know, when I envision NeoTrade, one of the things I'm looking for is there has to be enough demand for this type of solution. I wouldn't go chase it, considering that I make 6 figures every year for something that's small, and second, for something that will cause a problem in the future with which, you know, you cannot sell because you don't have somebody to buy a fractional stock. I want to create a system, an ecosystem, a trading ecosystem where brokers come in selling fractional stocks, buying fractional stocks from you when you don't want it or when you think you've made enough revenue and profits out of it. So really, right now where I'm at is customer discovery phase, where I want to see how big of a potential is this. This is very good information that I got from her where there is a potential, but I want to see to what extent. Is it scalable to hundreds of thousands of people, you know, or more? That's when you will have a market where basically if you want to sell $100 worth of fractional Google stock, someone else might be there willing to buy it because there will be volume of investment activity.
You might want to just to connect with Jason Resnick of Benzinga, because I think because they are in the financial district, they have their own SaaS model already out there.
Yeah, I wrote it down. Benzinga or
Benzinga.
Benzinga.
Yeah. They're downtown, Detroit.
Yeah, I would love for you to introduce us, or you know, if you know them, I'll also reach out to them myself to see, or at least look at their research on what they have and see. To be honest, right now, whatever research I've done, there isn't anything to this extent, primarily because of regulations. But I'm also a very strong believer that once there's demand, when a lot of people want something, you can go around regulation and create a good system out there. What I'm really trying to do is trying to understand the market and trying to understand it. Yes?
I'm on my phone trying to find.
Cool, yeah.
There's a company in San Francisco that's doing pretty much this.
Okay.
I'm trying to find the name for you. I'm trying to find it, but.
Oh yeah, please. If you do find it, please. Because I've searched, day and night trying to understand this.
Yeah.
But we can talk on the side if you don't have anything yet.
We're in conversation about doing like a financial literacy program for high school students, and like having where they can actually like purchase stock in this type of way. But yeah, I would definitely try to find out.
But the other thing, like she was, what was your name, ma'am? Lita. What Lita was also saying was, do you see a market where basically people could just hand out $500 or whatever they have in savings and have a system like NeoTrade come up with a portfolio for them based on their need? That could be also a pivot, perhaps. That if, say, for instance, there is something out there, very likely what that means is then there are patents that I can't infringe upon. But so far, whatever I've seen, there isn't anything. And like I said, fractional trading is just one aspect of NeoTrade. What I want to do is what Lita just talked about, which has a lot more potential, where you don't have enough money, you're not sure about trading. I think there's a lot of people who don't know much about trading, what to buy, what not to sell. There is an apprehension aspect too. So I see 2 avenues where I can fulfill at least one of them. So, we shall see. I'd love more questions. This is fun. I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to get into your mind too. Yes.
I'm trying to figure out, I guess, where you make money, and then I don't know if you know what your costs are, but do you have an idea for that? Because essentially, what it sounds like is you would have to manage this like a mutual fund. I mean, you would have to, for when dividends come in, you'd have to divide you would have to collect them, or somebody would on the back end, divide it by 7. Every time there's a vote, somebody would have to manage that. So,
Good
so
question.
I guess
So how would I manage this, right? So one of the business models I thought about was exactly that, where do I have the fiduciary responsibility to manage a partnership of stock split? Yes and no, depends on the business model. One business model I did think about, which somebody told me sounds most attractive because it creates my company ready for exit strategy. If, say for instance, my company it has a responsibility and owns a good percentage of that stock, and the rest I can, split it up, then yes, I can take, my company can take that fiduciary responsibility. But then I see a flip side of that. I see the flip side that conflicts can occur, conflicts of interest. For instance, if my investors say, no, that seems like you're stuck with that stock. What you should have rather is an entity agreement amongst those who are split, and let them manage that based on the partnership agreement. That can happen. It's so early right now for me to figure that out. I really want to see to what extent there is a demand for this. Yes?
So one of the challenges I've always had doing a little bit of trading is I don't have the kind of capital to easily amortize the buy and sell cost of a stock. So if I want to buy, let's say, 20 shares of Smith & Wesson, and let's just assume that the buy and the sell is $10 each time.
You mean the trading cost?
The trading cost.
Okay.
Right. So I'm already asking Smith & Wesson to go up $3 a share, $2 a share before you even start seeing any kind of value there.
Yeah. So I see what you mean by that. This is a fact. Whether you use E-Trade or TradeKing, it's almost like they don't necessarily want to provide that information, or they want to basically not necessarily care about that information. But that information is important to you because you want to know already what is the cost towards my return on investment. Like sometimes even for, if you don't have enough capital, you will buy something that costs $5 a stock. And that $5 costs $10 in trading. Even though you buy a lot, in fact, you then have to buy a lot in quantity to fix that cost of $10 trading fee.
Right, because the stock has to do all this heavy lifting just to break even again.
Yeah. That would be something I can incorporate. I know one company does that, TradeKing does do that. So I've been investing myself since I was in my late 20s, and I've reached a pivotal moment where I think I can even provide help. And that's one of the things I want to also help build within NeoTrade, some type of educational aspect to it, some type of aspect which helps you walk you through training and real world exercise while you buy. It tells you this sounds like like for instance, imagine having a meter saying this stock is currently cheap or this stock is currently overpriced, and then you can use that interface to decide, should I buy, should I not buy.
That's like American Bulls does that, right?
Yeah. And some of these ideas are already here, but two ideas I see. One is, of course, fractional trading, and of course, if you tell me there is something out there, then then there's only one idea so far. One is, the other idea is basically like I talked about, was today there are companies that you give them your money, and for a certain percentage, they will trade for you, but it's a human being trading for you. There are problems with that. There are positives with that too, but the problems I see is conflicts of interest, and second, there's only so much a human being can do. There's only so many stocks and options that someone can attest to and figure out what works for that portfolio. Instead, having an artificially intelligent system connect to these three ecosystems. One is the stock market, and 2 and 3 is to do with the user's portfolio and preference. With that, they can figure out, what is the right approach, what are the permutations and combinations of stock to buy. All right, thank you so much, guys.
one of the things what we normally do is we have events that are coming up in the next couple of, for April. And I know that I can announce a couple of them, but if anyone wants to share any events that they know of with the group, that would be great. I know next month we're pretty much are gonna go to take a break from the meetups, but we're gonna be at, I think we have a place at, what is it, Blackfin, Ameripub, which is downtown Royal Oak. So pretty much they got a space for us. They're giving us some free food and of course I think dollar drinks.
So it's going to be pure networking.
Yeah,
no
just pure
presentation.
networking. Just drinking. The real work. And then after that, I know next week they have an event called New Code Detroit. I don't know if you guys are familiar with New Code Detroit, but on Friday, I think on Thursday, April 13th, all day, apparently there's a lot of events going on in downtown Detroit, but these are all startup companies, including Shinola, and I'm trying to find out all the companies that they have, but they got close to 30 companies that you can buy tickets for and just go in and kind of find out what they do as well as networking with other people. So that's a huge, and I know we have a discount for that, so if you want 30% discount, use the promo code DNT, which is Detroit NewTech 30. So those are two events that are going on. And then you got the Ann Arbor NewTech that takes place on the third Tuesday of every month at the downtown law school of U of M Ann Arbor. Is there anything else, Roger?
That's pretty much it.
There's Penguicon, I don't know if you're familiar with that.
What's that?
Penguicon?
In downtown, in Farmington Hills, which is a nonprofit organization for entrepreneurship. We're going to be hosting our June meetup there. It's called, the Global Entrepreneurship Society? So it's called TIE. So I just want to let you guys know. It's going to be on our website too. So with that, I don't know if there's any more pizza or drinks, but help yourself. And if you guys have anything, does anyone have anything to say? No problem? Yes.
I was just going to
Jay.
say Detroit Startup Week is May 23rd